So Jaylen Brown was fined $50,000 yesterday by the NBA after he accused officials of having an agenda against him during the Celtics series with the Sixers. Brown criticized the officials during a Twitch stream shortly after the Game 7 loss. Then yesterday here on Get Up, Jay Williams had a very interesting thought about a possible trade involving Brown and another superstar.
Regardless of what's happened with Jaylen Brown and how we all interpret that, there are underlying issues, which I do believe. But if that's something that you're feeling within the organization, Mike, and if you do see a guy like Giannis out there, do you go for a Giannis-Jaylen Brown trade? If you're Milwaukee?
That's a great question.
If you're Milwaukee, do you take on Jaylen Brown and say, oh, you know what?
Jay,
absolutely.
Jay, both franchises could benefit from that.
So to be clear, he brings that up because it has been out there a little, not reporting. No one is reporting these conversations are taking place. But, you know, informed speculation, people who speculate about, well, what might happen, do these things make sense? And you seem to think it was an interesting proposition.
More than interesting, fascinating. Yeah, I mean, you look at Milwaukee and you look at what is it they want, which is different, Vinny, maybe from what they need, as we were talking during the break. But Milwaukee is, you know, you're sitting 90 miles from Chicago. When even that franchise is irrelevant, they've had stars. And Milwaukee it's a big, you know, you lived there long enough.
Course.
Milwaukee wants a star player in return. They want to operate with that. Giannis can't be on the court healthy. Talk about Joel Embiid. Giannis, when he gets to the playoffs, is Anthony Davis. He's not out there. So if you can get Jaylen Brown, who is out there, and a star, a first-team All-NBA guy, okay? Now, and if you're Boston, can Giannis help you with Jason Tatum in a way that you're worried going forward that you're not going to get for your tag team for the next year?
So let me respectfully.
Yeah.
Respectfully.
I know.
Anything that starts with respectfully is going to be disrespectful.
It's not.
I know it's coming.
It's not.
Go.
It's not. Respectfully, Mr. Wilbon. the Chicago tortured fan and you just came out there because the Bulls had nothing to do with this, and you just brought him in.
Milwaukee.
Yes,
and you know because you live in the Midwest.
Yes.
You're a Midwestern kid. You know Milwaukee looks at having a star.
Right.
They've had two, Lou Alcindor and Giannis, and they want a star. They want a star in Milwaukee. That's where I'm talking about.
What's the point?
The Boston question is, so you trade Jaylen Brown, who is healthy, who has had a history of playing, and you have Jason Tatum, who is a health issue, and you would trade for Giannis, who is a long-term health issue.
Again, good
How
for
does that
Milwaukee.
make sense?
Great for Milwaukee.
To me,
Great for
Milwaukee,
Milwaukee.
I think.
I'm just asking.
Great for
Let me
Milwaukee.
get windy. To me, if you're Milwaukee and you're facing this situation with Giannis that he wants out, and you come out of it with Jaylen Brown, that would be so much better of an outcome than I would have expected them to have. It would be unimaginable. When you hear this sort of speculation, it's been out there a little bit. What do you think?
This is extraordinarily simple. Of course it makes sense for Milwaukee. You've got it exactly right, Greeny. Of course Milwaukee would see some of the stuff that Jaylen Brown is saying and watch everything, and they would get ready to call Boston. And from Boston's standpoint, this is very simple. In July, Jaylen Brown has the opportunity to sign a contract extension with the Celtics. If he is happy with the Celtics, it's a huge one. It can be $70 million a year. He's just coming off his best season. You're going to offer it. If he's happy with the Celtics, sign. See you in September. If he's not happy with the Celtics and he's like, listen, I'm not sure I want to be here, trade. Obviously the trade execution would be a little different. This is all going to take care of itself. And like Vinny said, Brown is younger, healthier, and plays the style that has won a championship. I think if you're Boston, you're like, I'm holding on to Jaylen Brown. But if Jaylen Brown doesn't want to be here and he's going to go complain on media for the next year, then he can address it when he doesn't sign the extension, and you can deal with it.
A quick reminder, and I know everyone here knows this, Giannis also won a championship and scored 50 points in the decisive game, but that feels like a lifetime ago. Monica, what do you think of it?
I don't think Jaylen Brown is that disgruntled, and maybe I'm naive. But when you really step back and look, they won a championship together. They've been to finals together. They get to Eastern Conference finals together. Like, he's been in a position to achieve things as an individual and be recognized in this league. Do you really want to go and start essentially from scratch in Milwaukee? I do not believe that.
Right. He's going to have.
I do not believe that.
Meaning if you're
Wendy's
him.
right.
If you're him.
It depends
If
on
you're
what
him.
he wants
to Wendy's
largely.
point, yeah, I do not believe that.
But so do we think this Twitch stream stuff reveals, Vinny, something about what Jaylen Brown might want.
Of course it's Freudian, right? Because he said this was his most fun year as a pro, where he was the #1 guy on a team that I don't have a problem with that. Because you don't know what's going to happen in May and June when you're going through the regular season, you're going through the process. All you know is how well you are playing relative to the expectations.
I think that statement is less about the fact that he was the #1 and the overall process. To me, and maybe I'm
not saying that as a mark against him. I'm saying that this is a mark on where this franchise is going.
Okay,
because you don't know what Jason Tatum is going to look like next year and beyond.
Listen, Dick Vitale told me a long time ago, don't mess with happy. If the grass is not necessarily as green as you might think it is on the other side. Much more basketball all morning. But first, huge event on the ESPN app this Saturday, and here's how you can watch it. They won Game 1 of their series against Atlanta. Sixers, of course, didn't win Game 1 of their series with Boston, so those stats can go either way. Windman, we've had a day to sleep on it. We look ahead to tonight. Knicks and Sixers in Game 2. What are you watching for early?
Well, they're on a generational offensive run here. If they continue to execute at this level, not only with their actual, togetherness and plays, but just their shot making, I don't know if anybody's going to touch them. Jalen Brunson has shot 63% over the last 3 games. Karl Towns has 4 consecutive games where he's had 6 or more assists. A couple of them he's been in the double digits. Nobody's talking about OG Anunoby. Do you know what OG Anunoby's stats are in this postseason so far in 7 games, Greeny? How about 21 points on 64% shooting, 60% from three-point range? This is a killer offensive machine right now. It will not last at this level, but Philly's going to have to really pull him back to be able to get for the next 6 games.
So Monica does the Knick games on radio for those of you across the country who do not know. Game 1 was a very one-sided affair. The Sixers looked tired, and everything could not have gone worse for them. What will you be watching for closely early tonight to see if it's going to be different?
Joel Embiid versus Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson. And here's why, Greeny. For all of the wonderful gaudy stats that Wendy just mentioned, Joel Embiid at 35%, 50%, whatever you want to call it, put 3 fouls on both of them by halftime. And for me, that is of great concern. Now, if you want to go into deep cuts, Ariel Hukporti off the bench came in, gave you some great minutes, whatever. But the issue is Karl Anthony Towns, as Wendy mentioned, has been such an important part of that offensive firepower. He has to be able to stay on the floor.
What do you think of this, Michael Wilbon, the Embiid factor? He looked just spent.
He was shot.
Expectedly so.
He's going to bounce back. And he only played 26 minutes, I think, in Game 1. Nick Nurse, understood where this was going early enough to keep all those guys into 26 minutes good. Because they're going to have to deal with Karl Anthony Towns, but reverse order, Jalen Brunson. They cannot give up a 35-point game to Jalen Brunson. And Philadelphia is equipped defensively to deal better with Jalen Brunson. That, to me, is priority 1.
I think they'll go back to Oubre.
Here's where, to me, sweat equity means a lot. When you look at the New York Knicks' 4 best players, Towns, Brunson, OG, Mikal Bridges, they played 900 minutes in the regular season together. The 4 best players for the 76ers, Edgecombe, Maxey, Paul George, and Embiid, 360. You don't know each other well enough. We can talk all this stuff about